Welcome to another episode of the Real Appreciation Podcast. I'm your host, David Clair-Bennett, and today I have on the show with me one of my personal favorite content creators out there. He may be the biggest Tony Hawk fan of all time. He's got over 60,000 subscribers on YouTube, and he is the legendary, the iconic, Square-Eyed Jack.
Thank you very much. I don't know about.
I had to put you over there.
I don't know about iconic, but legend.
I'll call you iconic.
Thank you very much.
Well, first off, I wanted to say congratulations because we've officially hit a milestone on this show today. And that milestone is thanks to you, because you are officially our very first international guest on the Real Appreciation Podcast. How cool is that?
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I would love to hear from you about one of the most successful series on your channel, that being Hawktober, which, in case if you guys don't know, is a very clever pun for the fans of the Tony Hawk video games. Talk to me about what inspired you to make these videos for the world to see.
Well, I don't think it was a clever pun because I thought of the name really to. Am I allowed? How bad am I allowed to swear on this?
You're the king of the F-bomb. You can throw it out.
I wasn't going to use that one. I was going to say I thought of the name to take the piss out of another much bigger YouTuber who come up with a channel special for their channel with just a terrible pun name. It just was awful and very try hard. And I'm like, man, that's like if I did Tony Hawktober, and then I'm like, oh, I should do that. Which is literally how it started. But more specifically, I was always just looking for a way or an excuse to get through all of the games that I hadn't played in order to do just a generic like top 10 Tony Hawk Pro Skater levels video, which, you know, in order to do that, I was like, I have to play every single game like a maniac. And what that turned into was this yearly special, week-long special, and that also turned into me doing every level ranked, which pretty much put me on the map a little bit.
As someone who grew up on the skateboarding video games myself, like obviously, as you said, the Tony Hawk Pro Skater series, and then on to the more realistic style approach like the skate series, I find myself appreciating the passion that you put into your content, which brings me to my next question, which revolves around passion. What do these games really mean to you, not just as a content creator, but as a genuine fan?
Well, for me, the Tony Hawk games were that sort of bridge when I was growing up between like the sort of cartoony, mascot type games that we had as a kid and the more adult grown up stuff that you get. There was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and that was one of the ones that sort of bridged that gap where it's like, I'm not old enough to play Grand Theft Auto or anything like that, but I'm allowed to play Tony Hawk and watch Jackass and stuff like that. So I was just always such a big fan. I always admired skateboarders. It's like one of my favorite art forms really in the world. It's a very not so much these days, but it's very much an Americanized sort of sport and industry because of its origins, on the West Coast and stuff like that. But that whole vibe is just something I really gelled with when I was younger, and it's just kind of stuck with me, even though I don't really fit the mold of that. Like I go down to the skate park to film some of these videos, and I'm there with my game t-shirt on and a camera, and people are like, oh, who's this poser at the skate park? He can't even stand on a skateboard. But I've been criticized for that I'm not a genuine person to be able to comment on these things because I don't skate, but I think that's bullshit.
Hey guys, a big reason why I started the Real Appreciation Podcast was not only for the pun, okay, maybe a little, but it was also as a way to be better. And speaking of being better, I have to thank today's sponsor, Dubby. Dubby is the perfect drink if you're looking for a great energy boost without the crash. You should check out Dubby. For real, it's a clean energy drink that keeps you focused and energized, and it doesn't have any of that junk like sugars or artificial dyes. Seriously, it's got nootropics, vitamins, no sugar, 0 calories, no artificial colors, and no maltodextrin. I've been using it, and it's been a game changer for me. Plus, I've got a special deal for you guys. Use my promo code REAL10 to get 10% off your order. Just head over to Dubby's website, pick out your favorite flavors, and enter Real10 at checkout for your discount. Seriously, give it a try and see the difference. Be better with Dubby. Well, outside of skateboarding video games, I see you're wearing a Crash Bandicoot hat, which is very awesome. I know that you make content for several other genres and game series, like I just said, for the Crash Bandicoot series, but for Grand Theft Auto, big wrestling fan here, so professional wrestling, the WWE games, and several more retro gaming content. So I'm curious, do you have a favorite game of all time, and why is that your favorite?
I was only talking to my partner about this the other day. I mean, favorite in my mind, there's like best and then there's favorite. They're two different things. A lot of people get that mixed up. They're like, oh, this game is a 10 out of 10 because it's my favorite game. And it's like, no, some of my favorite games are like a 3 out of 10 because they're just so awful. They're funny. But as far as a favorite game, I mean, my brain always goes back to, probably Crash Team Racing. That's just where it's at for me. It's my earliest memory of actually going into a store and buying a game and having that, car ride home, waiting in anticipation to play it. And that was just every sleepover, every family get together, it was always everyone's huddled around playing Crash Team Racing. That was the number one thing everyone wanted to do. So yeah, and Crash 2 was the first game I ever played. So, I was just born and bred on Crash Bandicoot pretty much. Everything positive in my life has just centered around that in somehow. So yeah.
That's awesome. I think we're around the same age. I'm 28. Not sure how old you are.
Yeah, I just hit 28 the other day.
Oh, okay, congratulations. It's awful.
It's not too bad. It's not. Everyone's like, oh no, poor you. It's like, oh, it's not that bad. I've got friends hitting 30. So
who would you say are some of your biggest inspirations within the creation community that have inspired you?
Well, the big obvious one has got to be James Rolfe at Cinemasker, AVGN, Angry Video Game Nerd. That was the thing that I saw. Oh God, when did that start hitting YouTube? Like 2007, 2008. I would have been like 11. And trying to, I would have just, that again, being behind the curve, I would have just gotten my first computer around then, 2007, and like exploring the internet and learning all that. And that was the first thing that just hooked me that I'd seen. I just fell in love with the character and the production value of those, even those earlier videos, because James Rolfe has a background in filmmaking and degrees in art and stuff like that. So it was just such a unique time in sort of early infant YouTube and just internet culture, where the people coming into it and finding success were the ones who actually had genuine skill sets and knowledge and education relevant to the industry. Whereas now anyone with an iPhone can, make a YouTube video and pop off and find success, which is awesome. But I really just have a fondness for that era of, approaching things from a more, God, I don't even know what the word is, I guess, industry standard, as far as, video content and production is concerned. So that was my main inspiration for sure. And I've often been called by fans and critics the Australian angry video game nerd, because I like to shout and swear. In fact, I when I was a kid and first started to swear in school, I taught myself to swear like AVGN, just rambling on and throwing out just word after word, which is really funny because years later, I saw an interview of James say that, like, the reason it was so funny to them was because it was unrealistic, because no one swears like that. But I sort of trained myself to swear like that, so I'm like the real life thing, which is funny. But yeah, that was definitely my first big inspiration. As far as everything else, I guess the more modernized standard sort of YouTube content definitely would have been the YouTube channel Funhouse, which was under Rooster Teeth, which I think they've recently just closed, which is a shame. But as far as, I guess the more just, gameplay oriented live streams, challenge videos, all that sort of stuff. I just liked the crew and the personality there. That I sort of emulated their format with one of my other series, game testing. Pulling random games out and just seeing what was there. Kind of I realize now I rip everything off. I rip off everyone's logos. I rip off their swearing. I rip off their video ideas.
Hey, it's what you do that makes it unique and original, and you do that very well, dude.
Yeah. It's sort of, I always believed in fake it till you make it,
Oh, me too.
and yeah, it's you gotta. There's always a lot of criticism when you sort of, I guess, replicate a pre-existing thing, but especially when you're starting out, you've got to do that to sort of find your style. And I think I'm finally at a point now in my style is sort of, it's reminiscent of all these different things, but I've put my own spin on it, hopefully.
What advice would you give to someone interested in becoming a content creator such as yourself?
I get that a lot, and I always just say like, start. Like that's the one thing, is just start, because I when I before I first started, I was in my head so much I couldn't get myself motivated. I had all these ideas and didn't have any sort of outlet for it. I kept putting it off, and then reached a point where I'm like, oh man, if I'd started a year ago, I'd already have X, Y, and Z, or I'd have already done this. And that was the biggest sort of hurdle starting off back in the day. So yeah, I always tell people when they're like, oh, how do I start? What editing software do I use? Do I need a camera or whatever? It's like, just start making stuff. Even if it's bad, even if you don't upload it at all, just start making stuff. Like, even before I started uploading, the content I do now, I was just editing silly little things on my computer, self-taught, just learning through doing, basically, which is the best method in my opinion. So yeah, anyone that wants to start making stuff, you just need to start. That's the hardest part.
I always say that time will pass regardless. It's what you do at that time. The opportunity is yours.
Exactly.
Where did you learn how to edit so seamlessly? And is that process, let's face it, it's super stressful.
Yeah, I'm self-taught. I'd say I'm 90% self-taught, just from doing things. The only time I never went to university or studied. I did 1 year of video and media production in school in year 12. And you know I learned stuff there. I probably learned more about working with other people than I did actual filmmaking stuff. And I guess just the production process, the steps that you take along the way. As far as actual editing skills and techniques, it's all stuff that I've figured out myself, or I've just picked up from watching other people's things. When I was really young, I had to sleep with the TV on every night, and so I just have DVDs in, and then when I'd wake up in the morning, while I'd have my breakfast, I'd go through the behind the scenes and the making of features on the DVDs and just study it. And I was just always so fascinated by the process, and so I probably picked up a lot from that even as a kid, on just how things are done, so that when I started to learn how to edit and actually started to have the tools in front of me and sort of have that hangover moment where all the numbers are flying around, and I start to piece it all together myself, it just sort of clicked and made sense. But even then, I see how other people do things, and I'm like, man, I wish I knew how to do it that way, because in sort of being self-taught, I've had to brute force my way through trying to achieve certain things, and have probably done things in such a roundabout, complicated way because that's the way I figured out how to do it. Whereas someone else who probably went to school and studied, animation, could whip up what I do in days, in a matter of hours. So it's just a big conglomeration of everything that I've just sort of picked up along my way, really.
I know how firsthand video editing can be super thankless of a job sometimes, so I'm taking this time to tell you that I truly do appreciate you and the amount of time that you put into everything that you do.
Thank you. I don't know if I should admit it, but I actually don't put that much time in, because I feel like my style with any sort of creative stuff has always been very um rushed is the wrong word. It's very just like, I can't even think of a word, like duct tape and like super glue, and just hope that it holds together. Because the sooner it's out the door, the sooner I can get on to the next thing. Um, and some of these videos that I've made, like every level ranked, for example, those are like, some of those have surpassed 3 hours. Um, which are these really long videos with countless different bits of clips that I need, and things that I've had to pick up filming, and I edit them within a week. And I'm like, man, I'm sitting here editing this 3 hour. It's not like a movie level production, but it's still like a lot of work, and just
Right.
sitting there grinding it out. Um, yeah, it's pretty crazy when that happens.
Your
Like, I
channel's
look
been
at the
around. Sorry.
sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I look at the stuff I used to make in 3 or 4 days, and I'm like, oh man, that stuff's so bad. I look at the stuff I make now in 3 or 4 days. I'm like, how the hell do I even pull that off? Like, old me, young me would have like freaked out at that prospect.
Your channel's been around for a while now. I'd love to hear how you managed to evolve and find new ideas for this channel.
Yeah, well, I've been doing it full time for 9 years now. I pretty much finished school and was like, right, I just want to dedicate a year to doing this YouTube thing. Um, and yet started off just wanting to emulate, the people I grew up watching, with the topics and stuff that I grew up with as well, because it's a different generation, and just sort of provide that, which is what I did. I think eventually, as time has gone on, my style and my format has really just been about looking for stuff that some people probably miss the full potential for. Like, an example I can think of, staying on the topic of skateboarding games, is The Simpsons skateboarding. Every single person that would talk about that game is just awful, horrible. They would play the first level or two, and have these really funny videos and all that. But I always was like, well, what else is there? Surely there's something else down the line. And so I really started to look at topics that people were doing, and potentially missing out on a lot of the good stuff, which is where I found a lot of my uh earlier successes, was doing these big deep dives into these rubbish games that people don't give the time to. um so yeah, I feel like that's where I'm at now. I feel like I'm the this is going to sound so wanky and arrogant, but I feel like I'm the like a bit of a Gordon Ramsay character, where I'm sort of, I can be harsh, and I can be loud and vulgar and just really brutal with things, but it's because my standards are so high and I want everything to be good. And I I have that opinion not only for the stuff that I'm talking about, whether it's a game or a movie, but I also hold that standard to YouTube and YouTubers and other content creators. I see people who are exponentially larger than I probably ever will be, and I look at stuff and I'm like, man, like, yeah, I can see the appeal, but if they just put that little bit of extra work in, they could have this other thing, this other beast. But that's fine. I'm happy to be the other beast, basically, and take that and run with it.
As I talked about earlier, this really is like a thankless job, so I'm taking the time to say thank you for all the work you do. And hey, you've even hooked my girlfriend onto the show. She'll randomly blurt out, "Fuck you, Tony Hawk," and that's all because of you, man. And I think that is incredible. Give her a shout out. Her name's Katie.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Katie.
So as we wind down here, I wanted to ask, what else are you working on that you may be able to share with us at this time?
So I'm actually coming up on 200 full-on episodes of my show, which is
Congrats.
pretty big. Thank you. And one of the things I wanted to do, sort of leading up to that, was a bit of a God, a touch of reality, I guess. Pull the curtain back a bit on me and my journey as a creator, as a filmmaker, as whatever you want to call it, a bullshit artist. I like that term, even though it's got a negative connotation. I like the term bullshit artist, because that's what, if you're making fiction, it's all bullshit. So, um, Yeah, I'm working on. I've just started, pre-production on this sort of life documentary, um, about sort of the ups and downs of trying to find a voice and a footing in any sort of creative industry, and dealing with hurdles like mental health and other conditions of life, and stuff like that, because I really want to try and showcase that even though I'm not the biggest name out there, and never will be, that's fine. That like I've found my little pocket of the internet, and it's working, and I'm in a good place because of it. And just sort of celebrate that to try and um, encourage try to encourage people to understand that the numbers don't mean everything. It's about enjoying the ride, really, which is something that I need to remind myself of every day. Like, I'm a bit of a hypocrite. I always forget it,
Me
but
too. Don't worry.
yeah. I think part of me needs to make this documentary, almost this autobiography for myself, so that when I'm having those moments, I can look back on it and sort of remind myself, of all the good things along the way.
You need to do that. That is incredible. That's absolutely inspiring. And a big goal of this podcast has always been to highlight the power of both gratitude and appreciation, as well as, like you said, to promote the awareness of the significance of mental health. This leads me to an essential part of my daily routine, that I make it a priority to express gratitude by saying 3 things I'm grateful for each morning, as well as before I go to bed. And I encourage everyone to adopt this practice. I promise it can make such a huge difference in your day. So with that being said, what are 3 things that you are grateful for?
Definitely the number one would just be my mum would be first, because I'm a mama's boy. Wouldn't
Me
be here
too.
without her, and she sort of always ignited the spark in me, and encouraged that and supported it. Um, the second thing would definitely be just my audience, my fans, my loyal followers. I see names. I see name. YouTube has this great thing now where if someone's been subscribed for X amount of years, it'll put a little thing next to their name so I can see. And I hover over some of these, and I'm like, oh my god, this person's been here for 8 years, 9 years, and it's like, man, they've been here longer than I've been making good stuff. Like, what's going on? So I'm really always thankful for that, and especially when I've had the opportunity to meet viewers at conventions and stuff like that. It's always just the most surreal thing that just makes it all sort of worth it, getting spotted out in, I'll be at a game store and someone will spot me and yell out. And even though it's usually the most awkward thing ever, I'm like, oh my God, please don't talk to me. I'm always really stoked and excited about it, because it means that I've made some impact. I've done something right. That's 2. What's number 3? God, I don't know. What's the third thing I'm thankful for? Well, it's got to be my supportive partner, who's also a creative person, and I've got that person I can bounce ideas off of. And when I am having those down days, they help me kick me in the ass and just like, come on, do it. Just poke you with a stick until you start doing it. So yeah, I got to shout out my man Donnie for that.
That's amazing. Shout out to Donnie. So sometimes a departing guest will leave a question for the next interviewee. Other times, a listener may submit a question of their own through email at realappreciation@gmail.com. Today's question is for you, my friend. And it's from, shout out again to my girlfriend, Katie. The question she left for you is this. And remember, there are no right or wrong answers. What is one thing in your life you took for granted that you wish you hadn't?
Oh, God. Um, Man, that's a loaded question.
That's what I said.
Yeah. It's especially loaded because I'm really going through this phase of working on this documentary where I'm reliving a lot of my life, and sort of after having a big life reset after I moved, um, I guess the main thing I wish I didn't take for granted, or I spent more time on, would have just been um, spending time on myself growing up, and trying to use my formative years a little bit more wisely and effectively. If I could, it's the I wish I knew what I know now when I was younger. It's that whole thing. If I could go back, I'd do most things again, but like just I'd spend my time better. I think all those years I wasted thinking about making stuff and thinking about doing things or whatever. I probably should have been actually doing them. Again, that's what I always say. Just the sooner you start, the sooner you start to experience life. Really, that's the one thing I take for granted. Pretty much is that I feel sometimes I feel like I wasted my formative years. Other times it's like no, I did what I could with what I had. But yeah, it is what it is. Every creator's got their sort of their gremlin on their back,
You answered that quickly, and you answered that perfectly. That was amazing.
Oh, thank you.
That was a loaded question, but that was a deep, insightful answer.
Yeah, I guess I've been having the deep, insightful thoughts lately. Every time I have one,
You got to put it into the documentary.
Yeah, I got to write that down. I'm just starting to cover my desk in notes right now.
Remember, you can submit your own appreciation-themed questions for future guests by sending an email to realappreciation@gmail.com. So again, Square-Eyed Jack, thank you so much for giving me your time, man. Again, we pretty much covered everything you have to promote, but is there anything else you'd like to tell us where people can find you?
No, just YouTube for the videos and probably Instagram for the real life stuff. That'd be it. At Square-Eyed Jack.
At Square-Eyed Jack. I will leave it down in the socials below. Dude, I appreciate you so much. I'm David Clair-Bennett, and he is Square-Eyed Jack. Watch out for his next video and his upcoming documentary. I am so looking forward to that. Follow him on the socials as listed in the description below. Follow me on Twitter at DavidClairB. This is the Real Appreciation Podcast, and we are out.